Here's something wild about baseball. Controversy lasts longer than championships. Most fans can't tell you who won the World Series 5 years ago, but they'll never forget the guy who bet on his own team or the player who forgot how to speak English during steroid testimony. We're about to explore 14 players whose scandals became more famous than their success, proving that in baseball, sometimes the biggest hits happen off the field. Pete Rose. Pete Rose holds the most untouchable record in baseball history with 4,256 career hits. Yet he's banned for life from the sport he dominated. The thing is, Rose didn't just collect hits randomly. He earned the nickname Charlie Hustle by diving headfirst into bases and playing harder than anyone else for 24 years. Rose would sprint to first base on walks, slide headfirst into second on stolen base attempts, and play every single game like it was Game 7 of the World Series. Rose's hustle made him a fan favorite in Cincinnati, where he spent most of his career helping the Big Red Machine win 2 World Series titles. He played first base, second base, third base, and outfield, depending on what his team needed. Rose collected 200 hits in 10 different seasons, which shows just how consistent he was at getting on base. His approach was simple but effective. Make contact, run hard, and never give up on a play. In 1989, the Dowd Report changed everything. Baseball's investigation revealed that Rose had been betting on games while managing the Cincinnati Reds. Rose went from diving headfirst into bases to diving headfirst into denial, spending 15 years refusing to admit what everyone already knew was true. He claimed he never bet on baseball, even though the evidence was overwhelming. Rose transformed from scrappy overachiever to sad casino regular, showing up at card games and horse tracks instead of Cooperstown ceremonies. Baseball's hit king became its most banned man, watching former teammates get inducted into the Hall of Fame while he remained on the outside. The irony reached peak levels in 2004 when Rose finally admitted his gambling in a book he wrote, probably hoping to make money off his confession. Rose passed away on September 30th, 2024, still banned from baseball after 35 years of exile. But here's the ultimate plot twist. In May 2025, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred posthumously reinstated Rose after a rule change, making lifetime bans expire upon death. Charlie Hustle finally made it back into baseball's good graces, but only after he could no longer enjoy it. Rose proved that sometimes your biggest gamble costs you everything, and sometimes redemption comes too late to matter. But if you think Rose had anger management problems, wait until you meet our next player, Albert Belle. Albert Belle is the only player in MLB history to hit 50 home runs and 50 doubles in the same season, yet most fans remember him for his explosive anger instead of his incredible statistics. Belle accomplished this feat during his 1995 season with the Cleveland Indians, hitting 50 home runs and 52 doubles while batting .317. This combination of power and gap-hitting ability was basically unheard of in baseball. Belle combined jaw-dropping talent with a volcanic temper that made other aggressive players look calm by comparison. He could hit for average, hit for power, and drive in runs at an elite level year after year. Belle finished his career with 381 home runs and drove in over 100 runs in 8 different seasons. His swing was picture perfect, and he consistently ranked among the best hitters in baseball during the 1990s. The problem was, Belle treated reporters like they had personally wronged him. He became famous for chasing an NBC reporter completely out of the clubhouse during spring training. Belle would refuse to answer basic questions and would stare down journalists who tried to interview him. His media relationships got so bad that some writers actively avoided covering him. Belle's most infamous moment happened when he charged the mound with a cracked bat during a game against the Milwaukee Brewers. The bat had actually cracked during his at-bat, but Belle still grabbed it and ran toward the pitcher. His teammates later had to crawl through ceiling tiles above the clubhouse to retrieve corked bats that had been confiscated by umpires. Belle's confrontational behavior overshadowed achievements that should have made him a Hall of Fame player. He refused to do interviews with local media and constantly feuded with fans who tried to get autographs. Belle became baseball's most combustible star, known more for his temper tantrums than his offensive production. Belle's rage machine reputation proved that being great at baseball means nothing if everyone hates watching you play. Speaking of physical changes, our next player underwent a transformation that raised even more questions. Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds holds baseball's most prestigious record with 762 career home runs, yet he remains locked out of the Hall of Fame. Bonds started his career as a skinny Pittsburgh Pirates superstar who could do everything on a baseball field. He stole 52 bases in 1990 while hitting 33 home runs, showing incredible speed to go with his power. Bonds was lean and athletic, weighing around 185 pounds during his early years with Pittsburgh. The Balco scandal changed everything people thought they knew about Bonds. The investigation revealed that Bonds had been using designer steroids called the Clear and the Cream during his record-breaking years with the San Francisco Giants. These substances were specifically designed to avoid detection by standard drug tests that baseball was using at the time. Bonds underwent a physical transformation that was impossible to ignore. He went from a lean speedster to a muscle-bound giant whose head literally grew 3 hat sizes during his career. His biceps became massive, his neck got thicker, and his overall body shape changed completely. Bonds went from stealing bases regularly to becoming a slow power hitter who barely ran to first base. His defense during the Balco investigation was laughable. Bonds claimed he thought he was using flaxseed oil and arthritis cream, even though he was clearly bench pressing much heavier weights than before. He insisted his trainer Greg Anderson was giving him legal supplements to help with recovery from workouts. The legal problems got worse in 2007 when Bonds was indicted for perjury and obstruction of justice. He had lied to a grand jury about his steroid use, claiming he never knowingly took performance-enhancing drugs. The case dragged on for years and damaged his reputation even further. Bonds became the home run king with an asterisk, proving that breaking records means nothing if you break the rules to do it. His 762 home runs will probably never be broken, but fans will always question how many he would have hit without chemical assistance. If Bonds seems bad, wait until you hear about baseball's original villain, Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb was baseball's first superstar and also its first certified psychopath who filed his spikes for medieval combat. Cobb played during the dead ball era from 1905 to 1928, when baseballs were soft and overused to the point where home runs were extremely rare. Games were slower and more strategy-driven, with players focusing on getting singles and stealing bases rather than hitting for power. This made Cobb's aggressive style even more shocking to fans and players who were used to a gentler version of baseball. Cobb treated every opponent like a personal enemy who had wronged his family. He would slide spikes first into second basemen and shortstops, aiming to injure them rather than just reach the base safely. Cobb started fights in the stands with fans who heckled him and got into brawls with opposing players on a regular basis. His reputation for violence spread throughout the league and made other teams dread playing against Detroit. The scary part was how Cobb prepared for games like he was going to war. He would sharpen his metal spikes before taking the field, making sure they were as pointed as possible. When Cobb ran the bases, he would charge into defenders like he was leading a cavalry attack against enemy soldiers. Base runners were supposed to slide to avoid tags, but Cobb slid to cause damage. His racist attitudes and violent temper made him hated by teammates and opponents throughout his career. Even players on his own team avoided spending time with Cobb because of his aggressive personality. Cobb's win-at-all-costs mentality included actual physical violence against anyone who crossed him, whether they were players, fans, or umpires. Cobb proved that being first doesn't mean being best, especially when you're the first to turn baseball into a blood sport. He showed that talent alone isn't enough if you use it to hurt people rather than entertain fans. Now let's talk about a modern player who went from hitting moonshots to dropping bombshells, Jose Canseco. Jose Canseco was one half of the famous Bash brothers, who later became baseball's biggest snitch. Canseco teamed up with Mark McGwire in Oakland during the late 1980s to create one of the most powerful offensive duos in baseball history. They were called the Bash brothers because of their incredible ability to hit home runs at a rate that fans had never seen before. Canseco helped popularize the home run surge that changed baseball in the late 1980s and early 1990s. He became the first player ever to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in the same season during 1988. Canseco's massive power displays made him one of the most exciting players to watch. His home runs traveled incredible distances, and his muscular build made him look different from the typical baseball player of that era. After his playing career ended in 2001, Canseco made a decision that shocked the baseball world. He decided to expose the widespread steroid use that had fueled his success, and the success of many other players during the 1990s. Canseco wrote a tell-all book called Juiced in 2005, where he named specific players who he claimed had used performance-enhancing drugs. Canseco went from hitting moonshots to dropping bombshells about former teammates and opponents. His book included detailed descriptions of steroid use and accused several Hall of Fame players of cheating. He named players like McGwire, Rafael Palmeiro, and Ivan Rodriguez as steroid users. Many people didn't believe his claims at first. The irony was striking. Canseco became less popular by telling the truth than he had been while cheating during his playing career. Former teammates and fans turned against him for breaking baseball's code of silence. His revelations helped trigger baseball's massive steroid investigations that would dominate sports headlines for years. Canseco transformed from bash brother to baseball's most hated truth-teller, proving that sometimes being right makes you wrong in everyone else's eyes. Our next player's fall from grace was even more dramatic than his rise to superstar status. Alex Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez was the most talented player who somehow became the most hated, turning every apology into another controversy. Rodriguez started as baseball's fresh-faced prodigy when the Texas Rangers signed him to a 10-year, $252 million contract in 2001. He was just 25 years old and had already established himself as one of the best shortstops in baseball history. The contract was the biggest in sports history at the time and made Rodriguez the face of baseball's new era. Two separate PED scandals and the massive biogenesis investigation turned Rodriguez into a cartoon villain. The first scandal broke in 2009 when Sports Illustrated reported that Rodriguez had tested positive for steroids during his 2003 season with Texas. Rodriguez admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs during that period, but claimed it was only for those 3 years. The Biogenesis Clinic investigation in 2013 revealed much more extensive steroid use throughout Rodriguez's career. MLB suspended him for 211 games in 2014, which was the longest non-lifetime ban in baseball history. Rodriguez managed to make even his comeback attempts seem fake by constantly changing his story about what he had and hadn't used. Rodriguez went from clean-cut superstar to the guy everyone loved to hate. His relationship with Yankees fans soured completely, and opposing crowds would boo him louder than any other player. Rodriguez's attempts to explain his actions always seemed calculated and insincere, which made fans trust him even less. His transformation into a successful broadcaster and businessman after retirement was remarkable. Rodriguez became a respected analyst on Sunday Night Baseball and built a successful business empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He started dating Jennifer Lopez and became a celebrity outside of baseball. Rodriguez's Shakespearean tragedy shows that even the most gifted can fall the furthest, but redemption is possible if you stop trying to be perfect. His post-baseball success proved that talent can eventually overcome poor choices if you're willing to be honest about your mistakes. Now let's talk about a pitcher whose fastball was only matched by his ability to dodge the truth. Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens threw harder fastballs in Congress than he did in his final seasons. The Rocket began as a dominant Cy Young winner whose surgical precision defined an era of pitching excellence. Clemens won 7 Cy Young awards during his career and struck out over 4,600 batters. His fastball regularly hit 98 miles per hour, even into his late 30s, which was unusual for pitchers his age. Clemens became baseball's highest-profile PED defendant when the Mitchell Report named him as a steroid user in 2007. The report claimed that Clemens received injections of steroids and human growth hormone from his trainer Brian McNamee between 1998 and 2001. Clemens faced perjury charges for lying about steroid use during congressional testimony in 2008. His career changed from strikeout king to courtroom drama, with more legal proceedings than quality starts in his final years. Clemens spent years fighting the charges in federal court instead of focusing on baseball. The legal battles lasted longer than some players' entire careers and cost him millions of dollars in attorney fees. The irony was obvious. Clemens's most famous performance came while testifying before Congress about his alleged cheating rather than on a pitcher's mound. His congressional appearance was broadcast on national television and got more attention than most of his playoff games. Clemens repeatedly denied using performance-enhancing drugs during the hearing. His reputation crashed harder than his fastball velocity in those final seasons with the Yankees and Astros. Clemens went from being considered one of the greatest pitchers ever to being known, mainly for his legal problems. The perjury trial ended in 2012 when a jury found him not guilty on all charges. The Rockets' crash landing proved that even the most accomplished players can't escape the truth, especially when it's delivered under oath. His Hall of Fame case remains complicated because of the steroid allegations, even though he was cleared in court. Now, let's examine a player whose childlike antics masked much more serious character issues. Manny Ramirez. Manny, being Manny, became code for millionaire acting like a teenager throughout his career with the Boston Red Sox and other teams. Ramirez's trademark whimsy and improvisational antics made him one of baseball's most entertaining personalities during the 2000s. He would disappear into the Green Monster scoreboard at Fenway Park between innings, high-five fans through the wall during games, and cut off throws from teammates when he felt like making his own play. His childlike behavior masked serious character issues and later PED suspicions that complicated his entire legacy. Ramirez would show up late to team meetings, skip batting practice when he didn't feel like participating, and request trades through the media instead of talking to management directly. His agents had to handle most of his business dealings because Ramirez seemed uninterested in contract negotiations or team responsibilities. Manny's good humor and on-field creativity became shorthand for a player who refused to grow up or take anything seriously. He would jog slowly to first base on ground balls, take casual swings at pitches outside the strike zone, and make defensive plays look harder than they needed to be. Fans loved his unpredictable personality because it made every game more interesting. The thing is, fans and analysts constantly debated whether his talent was worth his questionable judgment and immature behavior. Ramirez could hit for average and power consistently, but his attitude problems created drama for every team he played for. Coaches never knew if Manny would show up ready to play or if he would cause distractions in the clubhouse. PED suspensions in 2009 and 2011 revealed that his carefree persona was hiding calculated cheating throughout his career. Ramirez tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs twice and received 50-game and 100-game suspensions from Major League Baseball. His fun-loving image suddenly seemed fake when fans realized he was using banned substances. Manny being Manny proved that acting like a kid is only charming until you get caught cheating like one. Speaking of passionate defenses, our next player delivered some of the most convincing lies in baseball history. Braun. Braun delivered vociferous, principled defenses during his PED appeals, only to later admit he was lying entirely about everything he had denied. Braun emerged as Milwaukee's golden boy during the late 2000s, combining outstanding performance with natural charisma to become the face of the Brewers franchise. He won the National League MVP award in 2011 and consistently ranked among the best hitters in baseball while playing in a small market that desperately needed a superstar. During his PED controversy, Braun presented himself as the honest face fighting against false accusations from a corrupt testing system. He successfully appealed his first positive drug test in 2012 by attacking the chain of custody procedures used by the testing laboratory. Braun claimed the sample collector had kept his urine at home for too long before shipping it, which could have caused contamination or tampering. Braun gave passionate speeches about his integrity while knowing he was guilty of everything he denied. He attacked the credibility of people who were telling the truth about his drug use. Braun specifically went after the sample collector who had handled his positive test, suggesting the man had deliberately tampered with his urine sample for personal gain. His dramatic reversal from beloved hometown star to cautionary tale happened quickly once the truth came out. The Biogenesis Clinic investigation revealed that Braun had been using performance-enhancing drugs throughout the period when he was claiming innocence. He accepted a 65-game suspension in 2013 and finally admitted to using banned substances. His confession revealed that his righteous indignation was just another performance designed to fool fans and media members. Braun had looked directly into cameras and lied about his drug use, while knowing that everything he said was false. His reputation changed completely once people realized how convincing his deception had been. Braun became the false prophet who proved that the most convincing liars are the ones who believe their own lies. Now let's examine a player whose congressional testimony became more famous than his home run chase. McGwire. McGwire's famous congressional line, "I'm not here to talk about the past," became baseball's most memorable non-answer during steroid hearings in 2005. Big Mac's home run surge in the late 1990s helped popularize baseball after the devastating 1994 strike that canceled the World Series. McGwire hit 70 home runs in 1998, breaking Babe Ruth's single-season record that had stood for decades. His power displays defied conventional limits and brought fans back to stadiums across America. McGwire's home runs during the late 1990s were massive shots that traveled over 500 feet regularly. He combined with Sammy Sosa to create the most exciting chase in baseball history during 1998. Their competition to break Ruth's record dominated sports headlines and made baseball relevant again after years of declining attendance following the strike. His congressional testimony revealed that the home run hero had become the steroid era's first major casualty when lawmakers called him to testify about performance-enhancing drug use. McGwire sat at the witness table and repeatedly refused to answer basic questions about his playing career. He claimed he wasn't there to discuss what happened during his time as an active player. McGwire's refusal to discuss his playing career made him look more guilty than any admission could have. His evasive answers frustrated congressmen and made viewers assume he was hiding steroid use. The phrase became a punchline that followed McGwire for years after his retirement. His single congressional performance overshadowed a career that helped save baseball after the 1994 strike nearly destroyed the sport's popularity with fans. McGwire's home run chase with Sosa brought excitement back to baseball and reminded people why they loved the game. His later admission of steroid use in 2010 came too late to restore trust in his numbers or reputation. McGwire finally admitted he used steroids during his record-breaking seasons, but fans had already made up their minds about his legacy. McGwire's attack on credibility showed that sometimes saying nothing says everything, especially when everyone already knows the truth. Speaking of evasive testimony, our next player suddenly forgot how to speak English when the questions got tough. Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa suddenly forgot English during steroid testimony after decades of charming interviews with American reporters. Sosa's lovable Cubs persona and infectious smile made him one of baseball's most popular players during the home run boom of the late 1990s. He gave entertaining interviews in English throughout his career and was known for his Cubs win celebrations after home runs at Wrigley Field. His corked bat episode and steroid denials clashed completely with his image as a fan favorite who could do no wrong. In 2003, Sosa's bat broke during a game against the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, revealing cork inside the barrel. Cork makes bats lighter and supposedly helps hitters generate more bat speed. Sosa claimed it was an accident and that he had grabbed the wrong bat from his collection. Sosa went from giving eloquent interviews about his love for Chicago fans to claiming he couldn't understand basic questions under oath during congressional hearings in 2005. He sat next to Mark McGwire and Rafael Palmeiro during the steroid hearings but suddenly needed a translator for questions he could have answered easily during his playing career. The contrast between his charming public personality and his evasive testimony performance was striking to anyone who had followed his career. Sosa had spent years speaking English with reporters and doing television commercials, but now acted like he had never learned the language. His transformation from lovable slugger to evasive witness happened in real time on national television. His corked bat incident became a symbol of the era's widespread cheating culture that included steroids, corked bats, and other performance-enhancing methods. The cork discovery made fans wonder what other rules Sosa had been breaking during his record-setting seasons with the Cubs. Sosa's corked bat caper proved that even the most lovable players can become unrecognizable when cornered by the truth about their methods. Now let's examine a young pitcher whose 100-mile-per-hour fastballs were matched by 200-mile-per-hour tantrums. Yordano Ventura. Yordano Ventura threw 100 miles per hour fastballs and 200 miles per hour tantrums, turning every appearance into a potential brawl during his short career with the Kansas City Royals. Ventura's blazing fastball regularly hit triple digits on the radar gun, and his fierce competitiveness helped Kansas City win the 2015 World Series. He was just 23 years old when he became a key part of the Royals' championship rotation, showing incredible potential as a young power pitcher. His volatile temperament and penchant for confrontation led to multiple bench-clearing incidents throughout his career. Ventura would stare down batters after striking them out, yell at opposing players between innings, and get into shouting matches with anyone who looked at him wrong. He started fights with players like Manny Machado and Adam Eaton over minor disagreements that most pitchers would ignore completely. Ventura could ignite a game as quickly as he could dominate it, with his aggressive approach creating constant drama on the field. His fastball was electric, and his slider was devastating, but fans never knew if they were going to see great pitching or a massive brawl. Ventura would throw inside pitches at batters who had homered off him in previous at-bats, leading to warnings from umpires and tension throughout entire games. His talent was frequently overshadowed by his inability to control his emotions on the mound during high-pressure situations. Ventura had the stuff to be an ace pitcher for years, but his temper made every start feel like it could explode into chaos at any moment. Coaches and teammates constantly tried to calm him down between innings. The tragic irony was that his promising career was cut short by a fatal car crash in the Dominican Republic in 2017 when he was just 25 years old. Ventura died during the offseason while driving on a highway near his hometown, ending what could have been a dominant pitching career. Ventura's young hothead legacy reminds us that talent without temperament control can burn bright but burn out fast. Now let's examine a modern player who studied spin rates more than social cues. Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer became baseball's most toxic online presence despite being a Cy Young winner who studied spin rates more than social cues. Bauer's 2010s peak featured detailed breakdowns of pitching mechanics and spin rate analysis that showcased his baseball intelligence. He would post videos explaining how different grips affected ball movement and analyzed opposing hitters' weaknesses using advanced statistics. Bauer understood the science behind pitching better than most players in the league. His public persona emphasized technical expertise while revealing poor interpersonal judgment and toxic team dynamics with every team he played for. Bauer would argue with teammates on social media and criticize coaches publicly when he disagreed with their decisions. He got into Twitter fights with random fans and would screenshot negative comments to mock them to his followers. Bauer's online behavior amplified his controversial reputation and created conflicts with teammates and management throughout his career. He would post conspiracy theories about opposing players using illegal substances while using questionable substances himself. Bauer's social media accounts became a constant source of drama that distracted from his on-field performance. His teammates started avoiding him because they never knew what he might post next. His social media presence became more famous than his pitching achievements, which included winning the 2020 Cy Young Award with the Cincinnati Reds. Fans knew more about his online arguments than his strikeout totals or earned run average. Bauer's digital reputation overshadowed his actual baseball skills completely. His digital toxicity influenced real-world opportunities and professional relationships in ways that hurt his career prospects. Teams started avoiding him because of his online behavior rather than his pitching ability. Bauer's social media activity made him unemployable despite having elite talent. Bauer proved that being the smartest guy in the room means nothing if you're also the most insufferable person to be around. His technical knowledge couldn't overcome his personality problems that drove away teammates and fans. Modern baseball controversies have evolved beyond individual players to entire organizational scandals that make single-player drama look small. Modern baseball has more lawyers than batting practice pitchers, with every scandal getting ridiculous nicknames like Astrogate and Spider Tackgate. The modern era has produced sign-stealing scandals and sticky stuff investigations that make individual player controversies look simple by comparison. Teams now hire entire legal departments to handle investigations instead of just focusing on winning games. Baseball's integrity is now protected by cheating millionaires who hire legal teams better than their hitting coaches. The Houston Astros spent more money on attorneys during their sign-stealing scandal than some teams spend on their entire pitching staff. Players caught using foreign substances immediately call their agents and lawyers before talking to reporters or team officials. Technology has created completely new ways to cheat that previous generations of players never could have imagined. The Astros used a camera in center field to decode opposing teams' signs and relayed the information to their hitters using trash can bangs. Pitchers started using mixtures of pine tar and sunscreen to enhance their grip and spin rate on baseballs. Teams employ advanced scouting techniques that border on espionage. Organizational scandals now dwarf individual controversies, with entire teams facing punishment instead of just single players. The Astros lost draft picks, paid massive fines, and saw their manager and general manager suspended for the sign-stealing scandal. MLB implemented stricter rules and increased monitoring to combat these team-wide cheating schemes. The sport's attempts to police itself have become as entertaining as the actual games being played. Umpires now regularly inspect pitchers for foreign substances during games, creating awkward moments that fans love to watch. Scandals and investigations generate more headlines than most playoff games. Modern controversies prove that baseball has evolved from individual cheaters to institutional scandals, making the sport's integrity a team effort in all the wrong ways. The focus has shifted from players taking steroids to entire organizations creating cultures of misconduct.